Looking to stock up on high-quality Ayurvedic herbs? I've partnered with two of my trusted sources, Kerala Ayurveda and Gary and Son, to offer you 20% off their entire range of authentic products. From classical formulas to single herbs and seasonal must-haves, these are staples I use in my own practice. Use code Ojas Oasis for Kerala Ayurveda, Ojas Oasis 20 for Gary and Son. Links are in the show notes. Supporting your healing journey just got a little bit easier. Welcome to Ojas Oasis, the podcast where ancient wisdom meets the modern being. I'm your host, Sasha Ayurvedic doctor and guide on this journey into the heart of holistic wellness. The Yamas and Niyamas series continues. Today, we take an especially deep look into the first Niyama, Saucha, which translates to cleanliness. There's a reason Patanjali gave this Niyama two sutras, one for the body and one for the mind. Cleanliness is such a foundational self-care practice, and in Ayurveda, its significance is quintessential. And we could not present this topic without introducing you to Panchakarma, the Ayurvedic process that releases all toxins from the body. Let's get to our chat.
All right. Hey, everybody. We are happy to be here and we're happy you are too. We are continuing our series on the Yamas and Niyamas. We wrapped up the Yamas last week and we are moving on to the Niyamas. And the difference between the two is the Yamas are more focused on disciplines we practice with the world around us, other beings, our environment, whereas the Niyamas are disciplines we practice within ourselves. So they're internal. So the niyamas are also the second limb of the 8 limbs of yoga. The yamas are the first. So these are essential, fundamental building blocks for practicing the system of yoga. So the niyamas, these are constructive tools for cultivating self-confidence, character, inner peace, happiness. The first is Saucha. So we're focusing on Saucha today. Saucha loosely translates to cleanliness or purity. It's one of those things that feels simple, but has many forms and is quite interesting when we get into the very small ways you can practice this on a daily basis, as well as some of the larger, more substantial ways that it can be practiced. I'd love to talk about Panchakarma, Sasha, and I'm also curious about the Ayurvedic point of view when it comes to Saucha, as this is all about cleanliness and purity, not only of the body, but in the mind, and consuming only what we need and nothing more, not building up excess, which Ayurveda comes to mind in all sorts of ways for me. So I'm excited to hear how you think of Saucha in terms of your Ayurvedic practice. Before we get into all that, let's just take a second to read the sutras. There's actually 2 in which this is referenced. As I've talked about in the last few episodes, the sutras are verses essentially that are written in a well-known book called the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. So that's kind of where we're getting the basis of our information from for these conversations. So I'm just going to read both of those and then we can get into a chat and talk about how we interpret those and ways to practice. So these are originally written in Sanskrit. We're translating into English as it's known today. The first translates to, by cleanliness, one develops distaste for one's body and the cessation of contact with others. So that's the first. The second reads, upon the purification of the mind, one attains cheerfulness, one-pointedness, self-control, and fitness to perceive the self. So my quick take on the first is just objectively calling a body, right? And it's objective on purpose. Of course, we know bodies are vessels for all these amazing things, but there's something to be said about it also just being flesh and substance. A physical object that produces substances and waste. And while it does a great job of processing that on its own, it requires maintenance. So we'll talk more about what that means, why that matters, why that's a healthy perspective to maintain. And the second really just lists the benefits of practicing Saucha. So, Sasha, I'd love to hear your perspective on each of these. Perhaps let's start with the first.
Yeah. Yeah. To me, this sutra is a perspective check on the body and its purpose, and not getting so caught up in romanticizing it, but really realizing it is a temple. It's an instrument and a temple. And we ought to use this responsibly, this vessel that we've been so graciously gifted for who knows how long. But while we have it, we can learn how to use it responsibly and how it works. And it's a personal responsibility to learn about one's own body. And that isn't something in our culture in the West that is very emphasized, at least not in early childhood, which imagine if it were. We would have very different lifestyle habits as a culture, right?
We not only don't teach it, we choose to not teach it on purpose, right? We suppress some of the conversations about bodies, the real words for things, the real things that happen to our bodies. We don't talk about them on purpose.
And I would even say the emphasis is largely placed on what it looks like, what our bodies look like in comparison to whatever standard is currently being sold, whether that be on the most superficial levels of fashion, how you adorn the body, how you present yourself, how the body presents itself. But these sutras are sort of pulling us out of the constant glamour, the glamorized perception of what we've turned the body into.
Right.
Like, we have turned the body into something that isn't necessarily being respectful toward our body. A lot of it is taking our health for granted and just saying, well, whatever, I got this body and it's going to do whatever I want. Ultimately, what I'm saying is the body needs respect and needs to be treated with consideration. We have one body, and who knows how many years we're going to need this thing to complete our life cycle. And the way that you treat your body and consider your body as a temple, if you treat it with that amount of reverence, not on a superficial level, but on a deep level, realizing it's so much more than just something pretty to look at. And when you deepen that relationship, that's getting into Ayurveda territory. So now we're blending yoga with Ayurveda, because Ayurveda, our Bible is the body. I should say the mind-body system is the Bible of Ayurveda. This is our holy foundation for not only respecting ourselves, but respecting the creator, the divine. And to realize we're not separate from the divine. We are the divine. This is all created from a very intelligent source. And the mind-body system is, there's nothing more intelligent than that. There's nothing more beautiful. And it breaks my heart how few people really realize the power that is just within their own cells, just how miraculous and magical and beautiful it is that their heart is pumping right now and that their lungs are, creating oxygen, not creating oxygen, but,
generating.
Yeah, generating life, prana, and enabling us to speak. I mean, it's really, really amazing. And that's what the sutra means to me. And then if we go even more specifically into Ayurveda and the Ayurvedic perspective on Saucha, cleanliness, this is definitely the most important foundational niyama in the entire series, which is why it's first. We gave a whole episode on ahimsa, because ahimsa, nonviolence, is the foundation for how we exist in the world with others. And now when we exist in the world within ourselves, cleanliness is the foundation. And I will say, before I get any further into the sequence of information I'm about to share with everybody, the more you maintain a clean body now, the earlier you start and the more consistent you are with it, not only are you going to add years to your life, but you will age beautifully. Mind, body, and soul.
Mm-hmm.
Not just yes, everything will look nice, but it's because the inside feels good. Everything's running smoothly. Your physiology is running smoothly, and that manifests through your tissues. Your skin looks supple and moist, right? Your eyes look clear. Your smile is radiant. The energy that you have when you walk into a room. This is the ultimate self-care, that you are not only doing your daily hygiene, the most basic, like you brush your teeth, you shower, but there are many other aspects to keeping your body clean, the insides that you can't see, and also obviously what Erin mentioned earlier in the part 2 of the sutra, which is keeping the mind clean and clear of toxic thinking patterns, really, and getting confused and lost in the noise of the external world, and remembering, it's a constant maintenance to stay grounded in a world filled with distraction and noise. And there's so many paths you can take in life, especially today. These days, it's a buffet. You have infinite choices. Every day, it seems we are given so many choices for how to spend our time, what to eat. It's really hard to choose these days. So we want to simplify these choices for you by understanding your body and keeping it happy, really, keeping your body and your mind happy. That is the foundational niyama. That is going to determine the quality of your life. And really, when you look back on your life, when we all look back on our lives, because this is all impermanent, we're talking about the foundation. And I've been watching a lot of HGTV lately with my partner. And I'm so into it because they spend a lot of time explaining the importance of the first foundation that they lay to create any sort of structure.
Mm-hmm.
The first thing they look at when they inspect the house, or if they inspect a shed or a garage, or any, like if they want to build a tree house, like a clubhouse for kids, okay, check the foundation first. And if it's rotting or if it's not really sturdy, they got to rebuild
Mm-hmm.
it. So it's okay if your foundation right now doesn't feel very strong. There's no time like the present, and let's give you the information that you need to start creating a really strong foundation for the rest of your life.
Right. Ayurveda came to mind for me when thinking about this, because I think of, like you mentioned, there's so much information that we are consuming all the time. Not only do we physically consume things, but our mind is consuming things all the time, right? And Ayurveda teaches us how to consume things, both mentally and physically, that are right for our body, right for our mind. So we're not consuming more than we need. We're not consuming things that will cause buildup, both physically and mentally, right? We talked about Amma a little bit before. Maybe you can expand on that a little bit more too. But I think of practicing Ayurveda as a way to it's an efficient way to run your body, because you're only consuming what it is that you need and not taking in more, or less, of course, but we're trying to avoid that buildup, that excess of any particular dosha, any particular element. But we're learning about our body, maintaining it on a daily basis by only consuming things that are right for us, only taking what we need, only consuming what it is that we need, fueling our body with things that will actually process in a clean way, and not leaving us with all sorts of mental and physical and thereby emotional residue as well.
I also now I can't help but think about all the new health fads and trends, even just in our lifetime, Erin. Like when we were kids, I just remember there were always different phases of different food groups being sort of
Highlighted and promoted.
categorized as Yeah, like demoted or promoted. Like for a while, like dairy was being taught as terrible, and then salt was terrible, eggs were terrible, one after another. Things were getting, here's the new alternative to this. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's all marketed, and it's marketed so well.
Mm-hmm.
But Ayurveda is not about convincing anybody. We're not selling, we're not marketing. This is about right knowledge. And that's what we really want to get out there without any other hidden agenda. That's why I love this podcast. It's really just, we just want you to have right knowledge about your body. This is really important information that everybody has a right to know. Everybody has a God given right to understanding how to take care of themselves and how to live a harmonious life. And it really is fundamental. Talk about foundation to a happy, healthy planet. If we don't start with our very own first level self, there is no foundation for us getting along with each other. If we don't have that harmony within ourselves, there's really no other way. Let's start with, how do I keep my body and my mind clean of toxins? We live in a world filled with toxins. And so, how do we maintain a clean body? It's not quite that simple as just the hygiene that we were taught as kids. It's not just floss, brush your teeth, and shower anymore. It's actually going to take a bit more maintenance than we have ever been taught before.
Before you get to explaining that further, I think, as you mentioned, it's more than just basic hygienic practices. Moving on to deeper practices and ways to clean your body has to start with an understanding of your body, an analysis of what it is that it needs. The things that I need are different from what you need, right? So we can't just say, here are blanket practices that everybody can maintain in order to have a clean, happy body and mind. There are some basics, right? It's why we brush our teeth. It's why we wash our hands and bathe and things like that, right? There are some basics that bodies need in order to not decay or build up or whatever it is. So we know that. But furthering your self-care practice begins with self-study, which we actually will talk about another time. But the analysis and understanding yourself and taking the time to understand what it is that your body needs and your mind needs is the first step.
Yeah, right. So what makes Ayurveda work is there's no dogmatic thinking. There's no dogmatic approach. Every treatment is different for that person. Everyone's body needs different things.
We need different bedtimes. We need different diets. We need different practices. And it takes study.
And I will say, when you see an Ayurvedic practitioner, such as myself, what we analyze, the data that we are studying to determine the best possible lifestyle practices, but also if you were to be a good candidate for a deep cleaning, such as the process known as Panchakarma, which we're going to talk a bit about today. Not too much at once, because honestly, Panchakarma should have its own episode. But we are assessing, what is the state of your digestion? Meaning, are you able to evacuate your bowels every day? Are you able to digest the nutrients in your food? We ask this because your digestion is going to determine the quality of your tissues. And also, if you are able to filter out toxins efficiently or not. Because if you're not able to efficiently eliminate toxins, they glue themselves. In Ayurveda, we call it ama. This is undigested food particles that putrefy and over time calcify, just thicken, and they get sticky and they lodge themselves into the crevices of your body, starting in your digestion, but then they start overflowing into other parts of your body, causing dis-ease. So achy joints is a really common one. What can we do to avoid and prevent those higher level illnesses that are harder to treat? We keep the body clean. And as Erin said already, the needs of everyone is very nuanced. I started with digestion because that is one thing that I'm not with you when you're going to the bathroom every day. So I ask my patients to keep at least in the very beginning, I ask them to keep a log of what they're eating every day. Are they going to the bathroom? Do they have any symptoms with their digestion? That tells us a whole lot. And we also are looking at their Ojas level. So we're looking at Ojas level, how stable is their digestive fire? And we also look at the channels that are involved in whatever other symptoms that they might be having. Oftentimes, the mind is a huge factor because I don't even think I have to really explain. I think everyone quite well knows that the mind is very powerful in determining the balance of the body. So we have to treat that at the same time. We have to start with what are the things that you're taking in through your five senses that are potentially causing you to have anxiety or potentially causing you to feel overstimulated. Feeling drained, stressed, or stuck in old patterns? Panchakarma is Ayurveda's ultimate reset, clearing toxins, balancing your doshas, and restoring your vitality from the inside out. At Soham Healing Resort, every detail is designed for your transformation. Personalized therapies, nourishing meals, and deep rest in a serene sanctuary. As an Ojas Oasis listener, you'll receive $500 off your Panchakarma retreat with code OJASOASIS PK2025. These retreats book quickly and often far in advance, so don't wait to reserve your place today. Visit sohamhealing.com/panchakarma, and you'll also find the link and code waiting for you in the show notes. Cleaning sometimes is as simple as removing something from your constant line of
input.
Yeah. And when it comes to malnourishment or indigestion, we have to take the things out that are causing you to have gas or the things that are causing you to feel constipated. So we have to look at what you're eating. We have to take things out that are hurting you potentially. So that's the easiest, most rudimentary way of getting closer to a clean body, is to take the things out that are causing indigestion.
I'm going to keep reminding us of mental ama as well, and mental buildup and mental consumption, right? Not only looking at your diet and things like caffeine or just eating the right foods or consuming the right foods, but what are you taking in mentally? Does scrolling through Instagram make you feel like shit? Does watching the news at night do something for you? Does watching action movies or this or that, how does what you're consuming, not just with your mouth, but through your eyes and ears and your other senses, how is that affecting you mentally? That will manifest in your body as well. It's all related. So Ayurveda does look at that. When we talk about not only anxiety and overstimulation, but sluggishness, depression, lethargy in general, it's all influenced by your diet. And when I talk about diet, I talk about, sure, the food pyramid, but also your mental diet as well. So there's practices you can instill there.
Absolutely.
Limit usage of your phone, limit usage of your TV. Notice what you're consuming in those sensorial ways and how you can put up boundaries or add or remove things there that will change how your mind and your body are responding to it.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. And it's voluntary and involuntary, because sometimes you're just in a situation, say you work with a team of people, or I don't know, there's a relative in your family who's constantly negative and complaining about just all the terrible things in the world, and the world is this and that and the other. And, you're present in a situation where you don't really like the energy of a certain person or a situation, and you don't necessarily have the ability to leave in that exact moment. You have to sort of be conscious of the energies and the toxins that are in the air on a gross and a subtle level, in the form of not only food, but also people and
the words they use. Yeah.
Right. The words that they use, and being able to say to yourself, that is not me, that is them. I'm not going to absorb that. I'm not going to carry that. I am protected with my Ojas, right? Your Ojas is like your raincoat in a rainstorm. So This is why these lifestyle practices of Ayurveda are so important, because they protect us from the various malefic energies that we can, if we're not conscious of it, or if our immunity is just very weak at the time, we have to refill that cup and we have to keep it full, knowing what you're taking in and being able, like what Erin was saying, creating a boundary to not take in things that are toxic to your body that can potentially create a dosha, create a disease down the line.
We either have to learn how to recycle that energy, take it in, and then what you put back out, how can you clean up what was put out in the air, right? That can be hard to do. If you're talking to somebody that's super negative or is filling the air with harmful negative energy, it's hard to take that in and recycle and put it back into positivity and clean light energy. So that's a practice in itself. Or an alternative is, yes, putting up a boundary.
Yeah, and allowing someone to be where they're at in their journey without judging them, without really creating any karma for yourself. Just sort of, again, neutralizing that mental ama that isn't yours, and realizing that is not my mental ama.
Right.
So I'm not going to allow that in. I'm going to just let it be outside of me. That's existing. I'm over here, and I am an embodiment of equanimity. That's it. That's the best way to be, is sort of neutral to things, because if we start to judge people, that's when, again, we're just creating more doshas. It's just always going to come down to the level of your consciousness. There's no deeper healing than on the level of the consciousness. I think it's important to talk about, how does our body naturally clean itself on a daily basis, which is, we are getting rid of toxins through our urine, our stool, and our sweat.
Right.
Those are like the absolute most fundamental ways that we not recycle, but
process.
We eliminate toxins. And so if somebody is not,
we're not even,
right.
That's not even something we have to think about.
I do see a lot of patients that have chronic constipation who are not able to eliminate those toxins, sometimes for up to a week or maybe multiple weeks. This is their normal. So everyone's got a different normal according to what is going on in their body. And sometimes, even if it's not physical bowel constipation, it can be emotional indigestion. Like they just can't get over. Yeah, mental constipation. Like they cannot let something go. When we talk about cleanliness, you can see why this is such a big topic in Ayurveda, as it is in the Yoga Sutras. It's so big that they give you 2 sutras for this one niyama. The mind and the body, they each get their own, and rightfully so.
Let's talk about deep cleaning practices. It's also something that's super popular to talk about in popular culture. It's something that is definitely glamorized, and it's important, I think, that we clarify some practices and provide some additional tools that might be helpful. But there are deep cleaning practices out there that I'd love to talk more about from an Ayurvedic point of view.
I always get so excited when I hear of a new celebrity talking about Panchakarma. Like they just did a Panchakarma cleanse. I remember years ago, I heard Katy Perry did one before she got pregnant. And I heard Aaron Rodgers did one recently. And now our most recent celebrity receiver of Panchakarma is that of Kourtney Kardashian. And
Kardashian Barker.
Exactly. So she just became Kourtney Kardashian Barker. And I just watched the most recent episode of The Kardashian Show. Kourtney Kardashian and her now husband, Travis Barker, decide to try Panchakarma to increase their fertility, to enhance their fertility, because they're trying to have a baby. So I was really actually quite happy with the episode. It was really introductory. It was really basic. They don't go into doshas. They don't go into, it's not super, super heavy on, they're not making it a class about Ayurveda, but they are showing some of the Ayurvedic body therapies in the episode, which I thought was so cool. They show a Shiro Basti. Shiro means head, Basti means container. So they're sort of sectioning off the head and then they're pouring warm oil onto the head and like leaving it there just as a way to bring nourishment to the nervous system and also the mind to sort of calm the mind down. And they show Pindasvedana, which is when you put herbs into a sort of like a loincloth type of material. You tie it up, you dip it in either like a warm milk or warm oil, and the body therapist will, or sometimes it's two body therapists, will start to beat, not like very aggressively, but aggressively enough where they are hitting you with this thing to try to loosen the ama that has accumulated in the tissues, to recirculate it back into your bloodstream so that you can get it into your digestive system and eliminate it through your stool. So that's Pindasvedana. They show that on the show. They also show Abhyanga, which is super cool. It's a lymphatic massage that is choreographed in such a way that it follows your lymphatic system. It just follows the way that the body naturally flows and eliminates toxins. So it's giving you that little jump start. And it's usually a 2-person massage. Erin has received one from me before.
Mm-hmm. And Lucia, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Lucia. Yeah.
It was such a coordinated dance. Mm-hmm. It was really cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a beautiful body therapy. So they showed Abhyanga, then they also showed a yoni steam, which was so cool. And what that is it's just, I should just explain what it is. So you sit on this sort of little box with a hole in it, and the steam goes up through that container, and it's a way of getting those herbs into your reproductive system through the steam. So what does steam do? What does heat do? Is it dilates your blood vessels, right? Like it allows for things to enter. When you're warm, you open up, in other words. And when you're cold, you close up, you constrict, because you're trying to constrict body heat. So that's why Svedana, aka sweating, it's a really effective strategy for both eliminating toxins, because again, when you're opening, the doors open. So you either are removing or you are taking medicine in this case, the yoni steam. A yoni is a word for vagina. And it's a much more sacred way of talking about that body part for women. And the way that her Ayurvedic practitioner was explaining it was, we are preparing the womb for a baby. It was just so beautiful and simple, and I loved it. I was so happy with how they shared Ayurveda on the show. I was really nervous, I'm not going to lie. I was like, are they going to just make it all about brahmacharya? I can't have sex. This is so wild. This is so crazy because I can't have sex and I can't exercise. And they actually did have Courtney and Travis go to the Ayurveda clinic, which, by the way, is in Los Angeles, because obviously that's where they live. But there is an Ayurvedic center here that is great. I mean, it's beautiful. And I love the way that the spa was. They showed the herbs that they were using. The herbs were labeled. I'm happy that they showed it on the show to the extent that they did.
Is Panchakarma going to look the same for everyone, or?
Definitely not.
I'm going to assume it varies person to person, but I'm just teeing you up here. Definitely.
The answer in Ayurveda will always be, it depends. Mm-hmm. So should I get a Panchakarma? You might be asking me or yourself or, anyone. Maybe. It depends. Are you ready for Panchakarma? Are you strong enough? Is the state of your current health strong enough to go through this detox?
Because it's not just massages and yoni steams.
Right.
There's some less glamorous parts.
Right.
That I'd love to hear you.
Yeah, you have to take herbs, and it might actually be helpful to explain the process of what Panchakarma is and what it entails. So Pancha means 5, karma means actions. So there are a few, let's call them techniques for deep cleaning of the body, and I want to just list them for you. I'm going to say the Sanskrit, and I'm going to define and go into them a little bit. I'm not going too deep today, but if anyone out there is wondering what is Panchakarma, especially after watching that show. So the first one is Vamana. Vamana is a Sanskrit word for vomiting. This is actually in Panchakarma, this is a technique for deep cleaning. So this is one way for you to do a deep cleaning of Kapha dosha, specifically Kapha dosha. And it's a very effective strategy because the main house of Kapha is in the stomach. So we need to clean out the stomach, and that's done through vomiting. The next one is called Virechana. Virechana is basically induced diarrhea. It is a very, very intense, deep cleaning of the small intestine. And it's funny that we call it the small intestine, but it's not very small because it's very long. Oftentimes, people with chronic inflammation, they have this inflammation because the small intestine has bacterial overgrowth, aka SIBO. A lot of people have been talking about SIBO these days, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. There's all types of ways that small intestine over time can just overheat. It's in charge of basically absorbing nutrients. Most of our bacteria lives in the small intestine. It's a really important organ to keep clean, bringing it back to the Niyama for today. If your small intestine is clean, it can do its job no problemo. Efficiently, you eat, you absorb your nutrients. But if you're not able to absorb your nutrients, then most likely you will probably see in your day-to-day life, you have alternating constipation and diarrhea. And overall, you feel fatigued because you're not absorbing your nutrients. So you feel sort of depleted constantly. The next one is called basti. So there are two types of bastis. There is an anuvasana basti, which is an oil enema, which is actually more of a rejuvenative basti. Again, basti means container. In this context, your anus is the container for the oil. So there is some sort of herbal oil that is injected into your anus, and then you hold that for as long as you can, really. And that is for specifically cleaning out the colon. Not only cleaning it out, but strengthening it, tonifying it. The next type of basti is called a niruha basti, which is more of a purifying and detoxifying enema, which uses water, like a water decoction. And that is not to strengthen the colon, that is to clean it out. But the anuvasana basti and the niruha basti, you can't have one without the other. Every time there's a detoxifying enema, aka niruha basti, you have to start with the anuvasana and end with the anuvasana. And why is that? Because vata lives primarily in the colon. And remember, pitta, I should have mentioned this with the Virechana strategy, or process, I should say, not strategy. The Virechana, aka the induced diarrhea, is to eliminate pitta from the small intestine, which is what's causing the inflammation. So why does the small intestine overheat? That's where pitta lives. If there's too much pitta, the small intestine's not happy. If there's too much vata in the colon's not happy. So you have to literally give the colon oil and love and get it strong so that you can then totally clean it out. And then after it's been totally cleaned out, you go back in and you rejuvenate the colon so that the colon doesn't just dry up and get depleted again. And then nasya is basically just a deep nasal and sinus cleaning. So that's when you just lay on your back, you tilt your head back, and the practitioner pours this herbal oil into your sinuses. Not everybody needs every single one of these. Your set of processes is going to be determined by your Ayurvedic doctor.
Depending on your imbalances.
And your imbalances, exactly. It's all based on the state of your Ojas, the state of your digestive fire, what diseases you may or may not have been diagnosed with, and it's very customized to you. The last process of these deep cleaning exercises is called Rakta Mokshana, which is bloodletting using leeches, which I actually did see an episode. This is way back in the day when I used to watch a lot of reality, like the Real Housewives of Orange County. And I remember one of the housewives named Heather Dubrow. Her husband is a plastic surgeon. And so she gets to, sort of experiment with all these different sorts of like cosmetic procedures for enhancing. Really, ultimately, it's the beauty is what they're going for. So there was one episode where she had leeches put on her. I think it was on her stomach or something. And there's the vampire facial, which Kim Kardashian did, and she made that popular as well. But it's not so far-fetched anymore to think of, okay, there's toxins in the blood. We need to, get that out or vent that out a little bit. For women, we have a monthly Rakta Mokshana by way of our menstrual cycle, so we can eliminate a lot of our toxins in our blood that way very, very easily. For men, obviously they don't have that. So in America, what you can do is you can just go donate some blood. All of these things are not for everybody. Not everybody needs to eliminate some of their blood. But if you were to be a good candidate for that, that's one way to do it, because in the States, we are not licensed to. No Ayurvedic practitioner in the West will ever be giving you a leech unless they are, a medical doctor. Then they can do a blood transfusion. No Ayurvedic practitioner would be able to do Rakta Mokshana for you. So even if you were to go to a Panchakarma center in America, again, Rakta Mokshana is not on the menu, just so that everybody knows. The other ones are on the menu though, but Vamana is also like, that can even be considered a little bit intense for some people here. When you go to India, Vamana is very widely practiced and very effective again. So that's Panchakarma in a nutshell. There's a preparatory stage and there is a integrative stage after you get these cleanses done.
Right.
It's really important to note that one has to be prepared because this is a very deep cleaning. It's very intense. And it's not only on the physical body, it is very much going to bring some deep subconscious emotions out. Because again, remember, there's mental ama in addition to physical ama, and that all comes up when you're doing a deep cleanse like this.
Right.
It's all reintroduced to your circulatory system, and that's the only way you can heal. There's no shortcut. When you really want to heal the body, you have to go through some discomfort because that stuff has to come out through you, through your body. But the good news is at the end of the day, when all that's out, it's out. And it feels really, really good. Feels really good to have that energy back, that space back in your body. So I would say if anyone's interested in learning more about Panchakarma, working with an Ayurvedic practitioner is recommended. And
I'm so curious as to what effect it being popularized by the most popular celebrities like the Kardashians, what effect that will have on people's interest. I hope at a minimum people are Googling. I hope people are learning more about this. And I hope it's sparking a conversation about other ways to clean your body, treat your body, prepare yourself for big life situations like pregnancy, right?
Yes.
So I hope it has started a conversation about it. And I hope that continues. And I'm excited to see where it goes.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is the beginning of a new era for Ayurveda, that's for sure.
Who would have thought Kourtney Kardashian would have brought it?
Yeah, I mean, it's. I remember Madonna was sort of like one of the first yoga pioneers in the West, in a way, because she was talking about.
Right.
I mean, people wanted to know why she was so fit and how she got those amazing, that amazing definition in her arms, and it was yoga. And then I remember Gwyneth Paltrow was starting to talk about yoga way back in the day. It does start with whoever is sort of popular at the time and what they're doing, and slowly it very, very slowly, and then suddenly, yoga, what is that? I can see Ayurveda right now. It may seem very, oh, that's just for people with, a lot of money, because it is expensive. If you were to look at what Kourtney Kardashian paid for that Panchakarma she received, I don't know very many people who would be able to afford what, because I happen to know,
right,
Surya Spa, the place where she went, is tailored for, it's amazing, it's beautiful. You can absolutely justify the cost of it, but it's not accessible to most people. So
we've got to do it in our daily lives instead.
Exactly.
Right.
Or you come to India.
Let's all go.
Let's all go to India, because that's where I'm going. And, there are also ways of just going and doing like mini panchakarmas. You don't necessarily have to. In other words, there's options. There's options. That's sort of like a very introductory overview on Panchakarma and the Ayurvedic perspective on Saucha, the first Niyama. I hope I made it clear on why cleanliness is and would be the first Niyama in the series, because everything is going to run smoothly when your body is clean. And I can say this very confidently. There is no deeper healing that exists on the face of the planet than Panchakarma. Period. The end. Mic drop.
Right.
There's a very, very holistic way to clean the body. Not just holistic, scientific, very, very customized. And no other system has such a well thought out way to do it. I mean, yeah, there's psychedelic medicines, which you prepare for. You can prepare for something like ayahuasca. Similarly, you eat a very clean diet. You have to take in a certain amount of oil, and you don't exercise and you don't have sex. But still, the process of Panchakarma just doesn't leave a single rock unturned. It's the entire body, the entire mind. And I'm so glad that it's being introduced to the general public. And
I'm excited to see if we see numbers go up, right? I mean, it'll just be interesting to observe how culture responds to this and whether there's an uptick in treatments of any kind, or
even Google searches, like you said.
Yeah, I'm curious. I don't know how we find this out, but I'm excited that it's been introduced into the conversation. So I appreciate you clarifying it for us and talking about your experience. I hope to have one as well.
When's that happening?
I don't know. I've been so bad at figuring it out. I did some research on the one in New Mexico, but I've got to circle back on it. I really want to do it. I think it'd be so helpful, and I'd really love to. So I appreciate you educating us more on it.
Definitely.
And talking us through some of the more in-depth practices, as well as some of the smaller and more daily mundane practices of caring for our body.
Forgot to mention the scraping of the tongue. That's a big daily.
Oh yeah, I do that.
By the way, these daily cleaning practices is called dinacharya. There's another Sanskrit word for you. I know most people are not going to be using this in their day-to-day vocabulary, but everything is very intentional and effective. Cleaning the tongue every day with a tongue scraper, that literally eliminates the ama from your tongue, the undigested food from the previous day. That's oftentimes what causes most of a person's bad breath in the morning, is that their body did a very deep cleaning while you were sleeping, and now it's eliminating it. First thing in the morning, you have to get that ama off your tongue. You obviously have to use the restroom. Hopefully it's a bowel elimination, but if not a bowel elimination, you're at least urinating in the morning. And it's the best time to exercise, to sort of get the blood flowing and get everything eliminated through sweat as well. Or do a sauna if that's an option for you. So yeah, even just sweating once a day
Mm-hmm.
is really good. Is a really good daily, dinacharya. And
Lots of ways we can tackle this. Lots of ways we can scrub the bod and the mind, right? So we'll continue the conversation next week about the niyamas. We will talk more about santosha and tapas, which I'm excited to talk about. That's contentment and discipline in a word. So we will talk more about those next week. This has been an awesome conversation on Saucha, on cleanliness. And for once, I'm going to give some homework to watch the Kardashian show.
Right. Oh, and happy Memorial Day for everybody too. Today's Memorial Day, and every year I feel a sense of responsibility to just say thank you. This is another good opportunity to say thank you to the people who have sacrificed so that we could have the freedom to practice what we practice, learn what we learn, have the freedoms that we have. And freedom is another huge, if not the ultimate foundation for a peaceful, loving, harmonious world. And to everyone that serves that purpose, thank you so much. Before you go, if you're ready to dive deeper into your healing, check the show notes to book a 45-minute exploratory call with me. If you mention you're a subscriber of the podcast, you'll get 50% off your initial intake consultation. A 2-hour deep dive, normally $400, now just $200. You'll also find exclusive 20% discounts on trusted Ayurvedic herbs from Kerala Ayurveda and Gary & Son. Just click the links to apply the savings automatically. Ojas Oasis is a labor of love, a podcast born from a deep desire to share the timeless wisdom of Ayurveda, Vedic ritual, and holistic healing with seekers around the world. Every episode is carefully crafted to bring you inspiring conversations, ancient insights, and practical tools for living a radiant, balanced life. If the show has nourished your spirit, helped you feel more seen, or guided you on your healing path, you can now support our work by buying us a coffee or golden milk. Your support goes directly toward producing high-quality episodes, keeping the podcast ad-light and mission-focused, expanding our offerings to serve you even more deeply, and whether it's a one-time cup or a monthly offering, we are so grateful. Click the link in the show notes to support the podcast and keep the wisdom flowing.